So what I want to do is give a quick overview of Chapter 8 segment reporting and some of the GAAP rules that we're going to be looking at and that kind of underlies some of the quantitative work you'll be doing. Now GAAP, remember GAAP, right? Generally accepted accounting principles. Well, companies are using GAAP all the time to determine how to disclose information in their financial statements, and segment reporting is no different. So on the screen here, I have an example of a sample company with 3 different segments. And if you'll notice, each segment has a different amount of revenue. And if you notice, segments 1 and 2 have more revenue than segment 3. So kind of like the thinking here, and I have this slide really just to kind of get you anchored around the idea here, is companies need to know which of these segments should be actually separately reported in the financials, because not all segments do need to be reported. It's only those with significant enough activity based on the rules of GAAP that should be reported. So in this example, segment 3 may not be reportable because it has such a lower amount of revenue. Now, companies cannot kind of be so cavalier with their sort of assessment here. They are given very concrete rules to step through. So let's take a look at some of what that looks like. The first thing to note, and actually let me go to this slide because this has some of the actual GAAP, is we are in the world of generally accepted accounting principles and the Financial Accounting Standards Board, which creates GAAP. And they are using an indexing called A.S.C. And A.S.C. stands for Accounting Standards Codification. Segment reporting is one of the rules within this whole indexed sort of compendium of GAAP. A.S.C. Topic 280 deals with segment reporting. Now, the goal here is in the yellow boxes on the screen. We want to better understand enterprise's performance. We want to better assess its prospects for future net cash flows, and we want to make more informed judgments about the enterprise as a whole. So this is sort of the rationale behind GAAP. Why do these rules and guidance, why do they even exist? There's a couple of slides that are in your slide deck have actual examples of the GAAP language. So I encourage you to kind of take your time, look at this, look at the slides, and kind of get a sense for what is it that's driving these rules and driving the guidance. Let's take a step back and just look at what these tests, these significant tests, are doing. What's happening here is companies are asked to look at each segment and look at sort of a lens on each segment. One lens is revenue, another lens is profit loss, another lens is assets. And for each of these tests, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at what's the total, and let's look at revenue as an example. What's the total segment revenue in relation to the total revenue overall? If the segment revenue is 10% or more of the total revenue overall, then that segment is considered reportable. That's kind of the idea here. That's revenue. There's also a profit loss test, and there's also an asset test. Final note, in addition to the 10% test, there is a revenue test. A consolidated revenue test. And that's called the 75% consolidated revenue test. That's going to look at a kind of overall revenue and kind of run you through a final test. So there's 4 tests in total here that companies have to step through. The 10% significant test and the 75% consolidated revenue test. What I expect of you is to kind of, after this video is done, take your time, kind of step through these slides, just kind of get a sense of what they're saying, but then take a look at the spreadsheet video, and then actually go to the spreadsheet and kind of walk through this rule so that you kind of understand the logic. Then attempt the homework. The homework is going to be a more complicated version of the spreadsheet file. Keep in touch with questions along the way. I'm here for you guys if you have questions or if you need anything explained in a more kind of comprehensive way. If I've missed any nuance that might be helpful. I do expect you to have questions. I'd be surprised if you didn't. So keep in touch and good luck. Thanks.